Chapter 23, Untitled. Inside Yang Kaicheng's house, Yang Kaicheng and Yang Xingxing were lying on the bed. Although it was late at night, Du Ruo's arrival today made Yang Xingxing quite uncomfortable. She dragged her husband and kept talking non-stop. "I don't know if it was intentional or not, they always talk about children in front of me," Yang Xingxing said angrily. Her father and her father-in-law were good friends. They had known each other since they were young. Later, when he joined the army, she went to university. When Yang Kaicheng was promoted to captain and allowed family members to join the army, the two got married. It had been almost 5 years, but until now, the two of them still had no children. Although he and his family comforted her that there was no problem, she had seen many doctors, heard many ways, and taken many medicines, but none of them worked. After seeing Zhou Rui and Zhao Xiaoman get married and have a 2-year-old child, she became even more anxious and was very sensitive about the issue of children. Yang Kaicheng helplessly patted his wife's back, but he didn't hope that she wouldn't get along well with the captain's wife. Seeing that the captain really cared about his sister-in-law doesn't know about us at all. How do you know she doesn't know? Seeing him defending Du Ruo like this, Yang Xingxing turned around and pressed down on him, bitterly saying, "You think she's beautiful? What are you talking about?" Hearing his wife's words, Yang Kaicheng loudly scolded, "Even the captain doesn't know about this, how could she know?" After speaking, he pushed her away and turned his back to her to sleep. He knew his wife was under a lot of pressure and became like this, but if this continued, no one would be able to stand her. She looked at her husband's back, then turned away from him. The early morning sunlight from the window shone in, gently falling on the bed. Du Ruo slowly woke up from her dream, raised her hand to feel around her body, only to feel her small round belly, tilted her head to see. It was that little Hao Hao who slept over and rubbed his clothes. Du Ruo poked Hao Hao's little nose. That rascal didn't sleep properly. She gently rubbed her waist, remembering last night in the bathroom, couldn't help but blush again, sat up. The time was just right. She finished washing her face, returned to the room to wake up those little guys, finished washing her face, went outside to exercise. She was a doctor, she exceptionally valued health preservation. When the 3 little guys started to be able to run, to be able to jump, she brought them along to practice in the morning, even if it was just a few laps, it was fine. In the military compound, an interesting scene was discovered. The 3 little guys were using their short legs to slowly run around the basketball court in the compound. "Sister-in-law, good morning." She tilted her head and saw that Zhao Xiaoman was standing at the side, smiling at her, wearing a simple home outfit, looking younger. "Good morning." She stopped running and walked forward. The little 3 saw their mother stop, and took the opportunity to stop, following her to Zhao Xiaoman. "Hello auntie, good morning." "Wow, so good." Zhao Xiaoman was taken prisoner by the sweet, innocent greeting, smiling and encouraging her little classmate. "Why did you get up so early?" Mom said, "Sleeping early and waking up early makes your body healthy." Hao Hao walked ahead to set an example, answering this beautiful aunt's question. Yes, Qi Yaya and little Xianxian nodded in agreement. "Sister-in-law, you teach really well." Zhao Xiaoman looked at Du Ruo with admiration, who didn't say anything, and was gently looking at her little 3. "Your little one is still young, he will gradually become like this, he won't be inferior to his father." Du Ruo looked at her, not shy. She felt that her 3 little darlings were really good. There was no need to pretend to be blind and give in to each other. Obviously Zhao Xiaoman was not a liar, she spoke the truth, although Du Ruo's generosity made her a little surprised, but she still happily replied, "When the time comes, sister-in-law will have to pass on some more experience to me." Zhao Xiaoman was worried about the child at home, so she invited a certain Du Ruo family to come over to play, then returned. "Mom, is there a little bun in her house?" Xian tilted his head and asked his mother. "Ah," Du Ruo laughed, "who told you that it was a little bun?" "Aunt Yu ah." Xian immediately revealed the chosen person. "That guy." Du Ruo frowned, "It's a little baby, just like Aunt Yu's son, Hang. Perhaps Chen Yan was shocked by the 3 little darlings. That year outside the delivery room, he carried Yao Yu to the civil affairs office to notarize. Although he was harshly scolded by the Yao family's men, however, they soon had a child. Little Chen Li Heng was only 1 year younger than her 3 little darlings. The 3 little darlings' time in the country wasn't very long, and only little Chen Li Heng was their friend. She continued to run slowly with her 3 little ones. The neighbors passing by would stop for a moment and then leave with a smile when they saw such a warm and adorable scene. I know. Ah. Just like that, Mom. Finally hanging up the phone from home, Xiang Xing exaggeratedly breathed a sigh of relief, completely ignoring her image in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. When will the results come? Her pretty little face wrinkled, helplessly thinking, ever since she was forced to go on a blind date, all the resentment was engraved on the two of them. You say you 2 men got married so early for what? And also dragged her in all day to be muttered about getting married. Miss Yang completely forgot how much effort she had put into helping her 2 childhood friends get married before. In the lobby, the people around saw Xiang Xing angrily stomping her high heels clack away. All of them avoided to the side, only hoping not to get hit by this female devil. In the office building, Xiang Xing's reputation was booming. She had just graduated and entered the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, although there was someone in her family helping her. But her own strength could not be underestimated. This was also one of the reasons why her colleagues did not dare to look down on her. Apart from her good background and good ability, at first it was because of her appearance. She had a kind of neutral beauty and heroism. Men all chased her away like ducks. But who was she? She had been groping around in the compound since she was young, after personally taking action to collect a few people, the poor weak men in the office. All distracting thoughts were instantly dispelled. The appearance of a neutral wife was indeed a kind of beauty, but if her behavior was also so savage, she also had to consider whether her body could take it. At this time, the 2 words uncomfortable were written on her face. Who would dare to step forward and take the risk? Xiang Xing. Everyone looked at the person who came in confusion. So it was her. Xiang Xing. Are you going to eat? Let's go together. Seeing Xiang Xing, she stopped and waited for her. The smile on Qiao Xian's face increased a bit, attracting quite a few men to look over. Qiao Xian seemed to have recognized this gaze, somewhat restrainedly slowed her steps, stood in front of Xiang Xing, smiled gently, familiarly wanted to pull Xiang Xing's arm, but was avoided by Xiang Xing. When she heard someone calling her, Xiang Xing's eyebrows involuntarily furrowed, then not knowing what she thought of, she stopped, leisurely waiting for someone. Looking at Qiao Xian standing in front of her, even though she was wearing a stiff office outfit, she still had a gentle and pitiful appearance. Every time Xiang Xing saw her, she would feel that the genes were still very trustworthy. It was true that dragons give birth to dragons, and phoenixes give birth to phoenixes. When a mouse gives birth, it will dig a hole. She felt that even though she had been nurtured in the Qiao family for so long, Qiao Xian was still like her mother. Her temperament was still that of a little white flower. Whatever. It didn't matter. Even if Xiang Xing didn't want to see this person, even if she refused, Qiao Xian would still be behind her as usual. As long as it didn't affect her, it was fine. Towards such a person, the more you showed concern, the more she liked it. Haha. Then let's go. Qiao Xian regained her spirit, as if tolerating a child who was sulking. She smiled gently. But very quickly Qiao Xian couldn't laugh, because Xiang Xing brought her to the most luxurious hotel here, to have lunch. Xiang Xing, come here to eat? Although she had a salary, but after meeting her current boyfriend, she used it to order clothes, jewelry, shoes, buy gifts for her boyfriend, etc. Adding up, it was not much different. In order to prove that she was capable of independence, Qiao Xian did not take her monthly allowance in front of Grandpa Qiao, and also refused to accept expensive gifts from her boyfriend, so Qiao Ligua was still complacent for a while, thinking that using the unfilial daughter Du Rua in exchange for a docile daughter and a lovely son to continue the family line was the right decision. Is there a problem? Pretending not to see Qiao Xian's reluctant expression, Xiang Xing widened her eyes, looking at her suspiciously. Although it was okay, but today she was in a bad mood. If she crawled here herself, then she couldn't blame herself for not being kind. Xiao Xian choked, trying to smile. No. No problem. It's not like she couldn't eat, she just bought a few less clothes. Xiao Xian didn't look at the prices on the menu, rewarding herself with a meal. It's really delicious. Xiao Xian timidly moved her lips, used a napkin to wipe her mouth, and smiled at Xiangxing. Xiangxing shrugged, refusing to comment. Sigh. If Rua is still at home, the two of us can come here together. Xiao Xian looked at Xiangxing, a good older sister look. Does my appearance look like I'm stupid? She clearly pulled me to say that, how could I not know? Qishan returned home at dusk, and saw the three little darlings playing in the mud in the yard, and his wife was on the phone with a helpless expression. He stepped forward to hug his wife, burying himself in her neck, greedily, smelling the scent he had remembered all day. Touching the neck of the man who was acting spoiled, "Who is it?" he asked softly in her ear, and conveniently stole a kiss. Ha ha ha. Who told you that you were unlucky enough to be caught by her? Her voice carried a hint of joy at someone's misfortune. Being with these friends, she could always relax. Ah. I don't care, you have to compensate for my mental damage. Xiangxing played dirty, determined to make compensation. She glanced at the man who had entered the bathroom. I know, I will give you the embroidered handkerchief. Who would have thought that such a heroic girl would have a hobby of collecting all kinds of handkerchiefs? Having obtained the thing she was looking for, Xiangxing said a few more sentences, then felt satisfied and hung up the phone, teasing, "Don't think that she didn't know that Qishan, the slave of that wife, had returned. If she tried to hold on to his wife again, who knows how miserable she would be in the future." Now the awkward situation when they met was also because of the consequence of her taking Durua out for a walk and leaving that man alone at home. Durua smiled and shook her head. Looking at Qishan really made Xiangxing have a huge shadow. She stood up and went to the door to look at the three little darlings in the garden who were happily playing with the model castle. How, you, Xian, start preparing to clean up. When mommy calls for dinner, I want to see the three precious ones clean. Got it. The three little darlings happily waved their dirty little hands towards their mother. Durua frowned. The little ones were still trustworthy. She turned around and walked towards the kitchen. After bathing, why don't you rest a bit? Seeing the tall and heroic figure in the soldier's uniform, who was currently busy in the kitchen, she stepped forward to help. Qishan chuckled, fiercely biting his wife's tender face, smiling and asking, "That girl Xiangxing? Ever since she joined the Foreign Affairs Ministry, she hasn't always resented Xiao Xian towards me." Thinking back to Xiangxing's sorrowful expression, she couldn't help but laugh out loud. He also knew a little about this. What else did that woman say? He asked casually, thinking about it, he knew that the woman had nothing good to say. Ask Xiangxing about me. Durua was also unclear. You said they haven't looked for me in the past few years, why are they asking about me now? Oh? What's wrong? Seeing him suddenly stop, I heard from Grandpa that recently Qiao Ligua seems to have encountered some trouble. He observed her expression, and carefully told her the news he knew. Need money to compensate? She actually didn't remember this matter clearly, nor was she clear about what it was, but thinking about it, she knew why the Qiao family was looking for her. She frowned, she wouldn't help. Seeing that his wife really didn't care at all, he also shrugged, nodded, just like that. It was best to ignore it. It was fine as long as his wife was in pain. That family member had better not come and dance in front of his wife.